Every day, something is quietly stealing your life. Alex, can I ask you something a little uncomfortable?
Of course. Those are usually the most interesting questions.
Imagine that every morning someone secretly takes a small piece of your life. Not your money, not your phone, not your house, just a small piece of your life. And the strange thing is, you don't even notice it happening.
Wow, that sounds scary already.
It should, because for many people, it is happening every single day.
Are we talking about time?
Exactly. And the worst part is that most people think they have plenty of it. They act as if tomorrow is guaranteed. Next week is guaranteed. Next year is guaranteed. But life doesn't make those promises.
That's true. Sometimes we treat time like an unlimited resource, but it isn't.
No. Time is probably the most valuable thing we own. Money can come back. Opportunities can come back. Even lost friendships can sometimes return. But a lost hour never comes back.
Once it's gone forever.
And today we're going to have an honest conversation about that. Not in a stressful way, not in a way that makes you feel guilty, but in a way that helps you understand how small daily choices can completely change your future.
And if you're listening right now, while studying English, relaxing after work, traveling, or simply taking a break, we're happy you're here. Because today's topic can improve much more than your English. It can improve the way you live.
And before we continue, take 1 second and ask yourself a simple question. What did I spend most of my time doing yesterday? Don't answer too quickly. Really think about it.
Because your answer might tell you something important. Maybe your time was spent learning, maybe working, maybe helping people, or maybe it disappeared without you even realizing it.
That happens to more people than you think. And if you enjoy conversations like this, don't forget to subscribe to The English Man. Every episode is designed to help you improve your English while discussing ideas that matter in everyday life.
Okay, let's start with something simple. When people hear the phrase, "don't waste your time," what do they usually think it means?
Most people think it means working every minute, being busy all day, always doing something productive, never relaxing, never taking a break.
But that's not what it means at all.
Not even close, because being busy and using your time wisely are two completely different things.
That's an important difference.
Let me explain it with a picture. Imagine you get into a car and start driving. You drive for 1 hour. You use fuel. You spend energy. You travel a long distance.
Sounds productive.
Maybe. But what if after 1 hour you realize you've been driving in circles? You moved a lot, but you didn't actually go anywhere.
So activity is not always progress.
Exactly. Many people are active all day long, checking messages, watching videos, opening apps, switching tasks, scrolling through feeds, answering notifications, moving constantly. But at the end of the day, they feel empty, because movement is not the same thing as progress.
I think almost everyone has experienced that feeling. You look at the clock and wonder where the entire day went.
Yes. And then you say something like, I was busy all day. But when you look closely, you can't remember anything truly meaningful that happened.
That's a frustrating feeling.
It is. And I remember a day when that happened to me.
Really? Tell us about it.
A few years ago, I had a long list of things I wanted to do. Read a book, exercise, study, finish some work, practice a new skill. Simple things. Nothing impossible.
Sounds like a normal productive day.
That's what I thought. But then I checked one message on my phone. Just one. Then another. Then a video. Then another video. Then a recommendation appeared. Then another recommendation.
I know exactly where this story is going.
I think most people do. A few minutes became an hour. An hour became 2. And suddenly half the day was gone.
And what did you gain from those hours?
Honestly, very little. I laughed a few times. I watched things I don't even remember now. And when it was over, I didn't feel happy. I felt disappointed.
Because deep down you knew that time could have been used differently.
Exactly. And that's when I realized something important. The biggest danger isn't always wasting an entire year. The biggest danger is wasting tiny pieces of time every day. Because those tiny pieces slowly become weeks, then months, then years.
That's powerful. A single wasted hour doesn't seem dangerous, but thousands of wasted hours certainly are.
Exactly. And that's why today's conversation matters. Because we're not talking about one day. We're talking about your future. We're talking about the kind of person you're becoming.
In the next part, we're going to explore the first major reason people lose control of their time without realizing it. Because most people think time disappears suddenly. But that's not what happens. It disappears quietly, little by little, minute by minute.
And once you understand that process, it becomes much easier to take control again. The invisible holes in your day.
You know, Alina, when people talk about wasting time, they usually imagine something big. Losing an entire afternoon, spending 6 hours doing nothing, watching videos all day. But real life doesn't usually work that way.
No. In fact, the biggest time problems are often almost invisible. They don't arrive with the warning sign. They don't announce themselves. They simply appear for a few minutes at a time.
And because each moment seems small, we ignore it.
Exactly. Let me ask everyone listening a question. Have you ever picked up your phone just to check the time?
Oh no, I already know where this is going.
You check the time. Then you notice a notification. You open it. Then another notification appears. Then you see a message. Then a short video. Then another. Then another. And suddenly, 20 minutes have disappeared.
And the funny thing is that your original goal was only to check the time.
Exactly. That is how time often disappears. Not through huge decisions. Through tiny distractions.
Tiny distractions. I like that phrase. Because they seem harmless.
They do. And that's what makes them dangerous. Imagine a ship crossing the ocean. If the ship changes direction by just 1 degree, nobody notices at first. The passengers feel normal. Everything looks fine.
But after hundreds of miles, the ship ends up somewhere completely different.
Exactly. Small distractions work the same way. 1 minute here, 3 minutes there, 5 minutes later. Nothing seems serious. But over time, those small changes take you far away from where you wanted to go.
That's a powerful image. A ship slowly moving off course.
And many people are living that reality right now. Not because they're lazy, not because they're unintelligent, not because they don't care, but because they underestimate small distractions.
I remember something similar happened to me when I was trying to learn a new skill.
What happened?
Every evening I promised myself I would practice for 30 minutes. Just 30. Not 3 hours. Not 2 hours. 30 minutes.
That sounds very reasonable.
It was. But every evening I told myself the same thing. I'll start in 5 minutes.
One of the most dangerous sentences in the world.
Exactly. 5 minutes became 15. 15 became 30. 30 became an hour. And before I knew it, it was late. Then I felt tired. Then I told myself I would start tomorrow.
And tomorrow became next week.
Pretty much.
I think many listeners can relate to that. Because procrastination rarely sounds dramatic. It usually sounds reasonable.
That's true. Nobody says, I'm going to waste 3 months.
No. They say, I'll do it later.
And later keeps moving further away.
Exactly. That's why I think procrastination is one of the greatest thieves of time. It doesn't steal your future all at once. It steals it one delay at a time.
That's deep. One delay at a time.
And here's something interesting. Most people think motivation comes first. They think they must feel motivated before they begin.
But that's not always true.
Not at all. Sometimes action creates motivation, not the other way around.
Can you explain that?
Of course. Imagine you're standing at the bottom of a hill. You don't feel like climbing. You're tired. You're comfortable. You don't want to move.
That sounds familiar.
Then you take one step. Just one. Nothing impressive. Nothing dramatic. Just one step. Then another. Then another. And suddenly your energy starts changing. Your mind becomes more focused. Your body becomes more active.
So motivation often appears after movement begins.
Exactly. Waiting for motivation can waste a lot of time. Starting creates momentum, and momentum creates motivation.
Many people need to hear, especially English learners.
Absolutely. Because many learners tell themselves, I'll study when I feel ready. I'll speak when I'm more confident. I'll practice when I'm not nervous.
But confidence usually comes after practice, not before it.
Exactly. The person who speaks English confidently today was once the person making mistakes every day.
Nobody starts as an expert.
Nobody. Every strong speaker was once a beginner. Every successful learner was once confused. Every confident person was once uncertain.
That's encouraging.
It should be, because progress doesn't require perfection. It requires consistency.
Consistency beats intensity.
Every single time. Think about a small plant. You don't pour 50 buckets of water on it once a month.
Because it would die.
Exactly. Instead, you give it a little water regularly, day after day, week after week, month after month.
And eventually it grows into something strong.
Learning English works the same way. Improving your life works the same way. Managing your time works the same way. Small actions, repeated consistently.
Not giant actions once in a while.
Exactly. And I think that's where many people make a mistake. They underestimate small improvements.
Because small improvements don't feel exciting.
No. But they are powerful. Imagine improving by just 1% every day. One tiny improvement. Almost invisible.
It doesn't sound like much.
But after weeks and months, those tiny improvements become massive changes. And the opposite is true too. Tiny wastes of time become massive losses.
So every small choice matters.
More than most people realize. And that's why today's topic isn't really about time.
Interesting. Then what is it about?
It's about attention. Because where your attention goes, your life follows.
That's a sentence worth remembering.
Think about it. If your attention constantly follows distractions, your life follows distractions. If your attention follows growth, your life follows growth. If your attention follows learning, your life follows learning.
So, time management is really attention management.
Exactly. And once you understand that, everything starts to make more sense. Because the goal isn't to control every minute. The goal is to become more aware of where your attention is going.
And in the next section, we're going to talk about one of the simplest habits that can immediately help people protect their attention and stop losing hours without realizing it.
Because sometimes one small habit can create a surprisingly big change. And that's exactly where we're going next.
And if you're enjoying this conversation, don't forget to subscribe to The English Man. Because every episode is another opportunity to invest a few minutes in yourself instead of giving those minutes away to distractions.
The perfect moment that never comes.
So let's continue with that hidden trap. The trap that steals opportunities from people every single day. Not because they are lazy, not because they don't care, but because they are waiting.
Waiting for what? The perfect moment.
One of the most common mistakes in the world.
Exactly. People say things like, I'll start when I have more time. I'll start when life becomes less busy. I'll start when I feel more confident. I'll start when everything is ready.
And sometimes that day never arrives.
That's the problem. Because life rarely becomes perfectly organized. There is always something happening. A responsibility, a challenge, a distraction, a surprise.
So if someone waits for perfect conditions, they may end up waiting forever.
Exactly. Imagine a farmer standing beside a field. He wants to plant seeds, but he keeps waiting for the perfect weather. Not good weather. Perfect weather.
No wind, no clouds, no problems. Everything exactly right.
Yes. So he waits, and waits, and waits. Meanwhile, another farmer begins. Not under perfect conditions, just reasonable conditions.
And eventually that second farmer gets a harvest.
Exactly. Because progress belongs to people who start, not people who endlessly prepare to start.
That's a powerful lesson, especially for English learners.
Absolutely. How many people have said this? My English isn't good enough yet.
Million, maybe billions.
And because they think that way, they never speak. They keep studying, keep preparing, keep waiting.
But speaking is exactly what helps English improve.
Yes, it's like waiting to become strong before going to the gym. The gym is what makes you strong.
That's such a simple truth, but many people forget it.
Growth often feels uncomfortable. That's normal. The first conversation feels awkward. The first presentation feels scary. The first attempt feels messy.
But every expert was once a beginner.
Exactly. Nobody starts at the finish line. Nobody starts confident. Nobody starts perfect.
I remember learning a skill years ago. The first few weeks were terrible. Honestly, terrible.
Really?
Absolutely. Everything felt difficult. Everything felt slow. I made mistakes constantly. And because of that, I almost quit.
What stopped you?
A simple realization. I understood that being bad at something is usually the first step toward becoming good at it.
That's such an important idea.
Because many people think mistakes are evidence of failure. But mistakes are often evidence of learning.
Exactly. Think about a child learning to walk. Do they fall? Of course. Many times.
Nobody says, well, I guess walking isn't for you.
Exactly. Falling is expected. It's part of the process.
Yet adults often expect perfection immediately.
And that's where frustration begins. Because improvement takes time. Not days. Not hours. Sometimes months. Sometimes years.
And that's okay, because meaningful things are usually built slowly.
Think about a tree. When you plant a seed, nothing exciting happens at first. You don't see dramatic changes every day.
In fact, some days it looks exactly the same.
Exactly. But beneath the surface, growth is happening. Roots are developing. Strength is forming. Progress is taking place. Even when it's invisible.
I think that's true for people too.
Absolutely. Sometimes you're improving even when you don't notice it. Every page you read, every conversation you practice, every new word you learn, every effort matters.
The problem is that progress often feels slow while it's happening.
Yes. But when you look back 6 months later, the difference can be incredible.
That's why patience matters.
More than most people realize. Because impatience causes people to quit too early. They stop before results become visible.
Like digging for treasure and giving up 1 meter before finding it.
Exactly. You never know how close you are. That's why consistency is so powerful. Consistency keeps moving forward even when motivation disappears.
Because motivation comes and goes.
It always does. Nobody feels motivated every day. Nobody.
Not successful people. Not athletes. Not business owners. Not language learners.
Exactly. Successful people aren't successful because they always feel motivated. They're successful because they continue even when motivation is absent.
That's a huge difference.
It really is. And here's another thing people often misunderstand. Small actions are not small when repeated for years.
Can you explain that?
Of course. Imagine saving $1 every day. $1 feels insignificant, almost meaningless.
Most people wouldn't even notice it.
Exactly. But over time it becomes something substantial. The same principle applies to time. 10 minutes of reading, 10 minutes of listening practice, 10 minutes of learning, 10 minutes of growth.
Those minutes accumulate.
And eventually they become hundreds of hours. Hours that change your future.
So maybe the goal isn't finding huge amounts of time. Maybe it's using small amounts consistently.
Exactly. That's where real transformation often happens. Not through dramatic changes, but through small actions repeated again and again.
You know what this conversation reminds me of?
What?
The idea that success is usually less about intensity and more about persistence.
I completely agree. A person who moves slowly every day often travels farther than someone who moves quickly once in a while.
That's a great way to put it.
And if you're listening right now, remember this. You do not need a perfect plan. You do not need perfect conditions. You do not need perfect confidence. You only need a willingness to begin.
Because beginning creates momentum. Momentum creates progress. And progress creates results.
Exactly. And in the next section, we're going to talk about something even deeper. something that quietly influences every decision you make with your time.
Something that determines whether you stay focused on what matters or become distracted by what doesn't.
Because once you understand this idea, you'll never look at time the same way again.
And if you're enjoying today's episode, don't forget to subscribe to The English Man, because every minute you spend learning something useful is a minute invested in a better future.
Subscribe to our channel to learn more and improve your English.